Alright, what's up everybody? We're back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today's video is kind of another episode of the Everyday Evals series. I'll bring it back. We've done a couple in the past couple weeks. We did one about Kobe White, we did one about Kate Cunningham last week, and this one, I'm going to talk about Jalen Green, because he's been playing really good basketball as of recently, but I want to talk about Jalen Green in a whole sense and like what his role is, what his future could be in Houston, because honestly it's very confusing to me what Jalen Green maybe could be, and there's been a lot of stuff around it, so we're going to talk about it here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications to all stuff like that. I really appreciate it, really upset a lot. It's my Twitter, TikTok in the description down below. Join the membership as well. Those just opened up. If you want an explanation video, I did a video a couple days ago explaining the memberships and stuff, so if you want to join that, check it out. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So Jalen Green has been playing really, really good basketball as of recently. I'm honestly, since coming back from the All-Star break, he has been really good. He has moments also at the end of January and stuff like that. But in the past, like, I want to say 2-3-ish weeks, in the past 10 games, he's been playing some of the best basketball of his career. In his last 10 games, he's averaging over 27 points per game, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. He's shooting 48% from the field, 40% from 3, 83% from the free throw line. He's had 5 30-point games in this stretch. Oh, I'm sorry, 4 30-point games in this stretch. Last night, he had tied a career high with 42 points against the Washington Wizards, so he hit 7 3-pointers. He's really good. He had back-to-back games against the Phoenix Suns at the end of February, the start of March, where he had 34 points. Back-to-back. He had a 37-point game against Washington the other day as well. On Saturday against Cleveland, he had 26 points and 11 rebounds. I'm sorry, I think that was Sunday against Cleveland. He had 26 points and 11 boards. He's had back-to-back double-doubles. So he's been playing really good basketball. And the Rockets have been playing good. In the last 10 games, they're 8-2. So they're playing really well, even without Alperen Şengün, who unfortunately is out for the season, potentially with an ankle injury. And they've won 6 in a row. So the Rockets are playing really good ball, and Jalen Green has been a big part of it, which is very interesting to see that Jalen Green is taking this step right now. Jalen Green, of course, we all know he's a top high school guy, went to the G League, was the second overall pick back in 2021. Has shown some moments in his first 2 years, but hasn't shown a lot. I'm not saying a lot. He's shown the ability, he can score. That's the thing we've known about Jalen Green the entirety of his career. He can get buckets. I mean, he averaged 17 in his rookie. Last year, he averaged 22 points per game. This year, his stats are actually down all around. Besides rebounding, he's averaging career-high 5 rebounds per game. But all his other stats have gone down, but that's also because the Rockets have built more of a team around him. Fred VanVleet is there now, which takes a lot of the ball handling stuff responsibility. Alperen Şengün also has taken a big jump this season. They have guys like Dylan Brooks, who deserves more shots. Ime Udoka is there, so it makes sense that Jalen Green's numbers, shots and stuff have gone down because, again, there's more players around him, so it's not just him kind of just free balling out there, which is kind of what the first 2 years of his career was like. This year, he's averaging 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He's shooting 42% from the field, 32% from 3, 80% from the free throw line. And one of the big things about Jalen Green has been his consistency. We haven't really seen that yet. Of course, his first 2 years were very inconsistent in terms of the team was not very stable. There's a lot of stuff going on. No real culture, no real structure there. It's really just kind of, all right, we got a bunch of 19-year-olds, go out there and play and do something. That's really what it was. Jalen Green last year took that upon himself and was like, all right, I'm going to go do something. And he had a good year stats-wise. The efficiency was not great, but also he was 20 years old, so it's like the efficiency, we want it, but it's not really there yet. Now with a full kind of stable, kind of steady team around him, I was very interested to see, okay, this is kind of the year where we'll see what Jalen Green really is. Can he develop his game more? Can he do this, and that? And so far, it's kind of been a little bit of the same. Taking out this last 10 games, before that, it was kind of like the same. He's shown some things here and there. He showed some big scoring ability and stuff, but he hasn't really put it all together yet. In terms of the efficiency, still isn't there. He's shooting just 42% from the field, which is lower than it was his rookie year. 32% from his three-point percentage has actually gone down every year of his career. He started at 34. Last year's 33. This year's at 32. And he's taking about the same amount of threes. Last year he took 7.3. This year he's taking 7. So he's taking about the same amount of threes. The efficiency's actually gone down. And the free throws have gone down as too. As a rookie, he shot 3.5. Last year he shot 6. This year he's shooting only 4 attempts per game. So he's not getting to the free throw line and getting easy ones as much either. And the assists have gone down, but that's also because, again, Alperen Şengün and Fred VanVleet take a lot of that, so he doesn't really need to play make for others as well. Now we should see it a little more because no Alperen Şengün, but the stats have gone down, which, of course, is kind of not really surprising, but the efficiency has gone down, or stayed the same-ish, which is very interesting. Even though he's taking 2 less shots per game, he's taking about the same amount of threes, shooting 2 less free throws, the efficiency has gone down, or kind of been around the same, which is a very interesting thing. And also his consistency. He's still 21 years old, but the consistency hasn't really been there. We haven't had a stretch of games besides now. But before this, we haven't really had a stretch of games where it's like, all right, like one game he'll have 34, then he had 25, next game he had 12. Then he had 26, this is like in November. He had 26, then he had 10, 15, 25, 7, 8. So it's like he'll have a big 25-point game on good shooting, and then he had back-to-back games in December where he had 7 points on 2 for 10 shooting, and then 8 points on 2 for 12 shooting. And only played 24 and 23 minutes in those games because they have more players. And then after that, he was just on a bad stretch in December. Then he had 14, 16, 12 on bad efficiency, 16 on 19 shots. Then he had 17, and then he had 9, then he had 5 against the Pacers. And I think since that 5-point game, he's been better. Then he had 23, 31, 22. Then he went back down 14, 20, 16, 11, 18, 28, 10. He just has these moments where he's like, all right, he'll have a 2-3 game stretch of like, all right, 20. And then he'll have a 2-3 game stretch of 11 and 14 and then 7. So it's like we can't really see a full stretch of games where it's like, dang, okay. Then he had, in late January, he had a stretch, the last like 4 games of January, where he had 3 30-point games. 4 games, he averaged 30 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, shot 52%, 36%. It's like, okay. And then he came back the first 2 games of February, 12, 14, and then 8. And then he had 30 again. Then he had 7. So it's like, dang, we can't really get a consistent just 25 or consistent, just because some consistency, But these last 10 games, he's had 34 back-to-back. Then he had 23. Then he had 15. Then 27, 19, 16, and the last 3 games, 37, 26, and then last night he had 42. So maybe is this another just straight-up stretch, where he's going to be good, and then he'll have another stretch where he'll have 14, 7, 12, 19. Is he going to do that again? Or will this finally be the consistent, Jalen Green? And I think this could maybe be the consistent Jalen Green. I feel like watching him in the past few games, watching this past little stretch, this is some of the most confidence he's played at and most under control he's played at in a while, I feel like. Like, watching the last couple games, he has been a lot more under control, a lot more patient, and a lot more comfortable on the court. I go to bucketlist.com and it shows you the shot chart of this season and what shots he likes to shoot and stuff. His most attempted shot is above the break 3. He's taking over 400. He's taking more above the break 3s than layups at the rim, which is something, But yeah, looking at his shots, driving layups, he's taking 157 driving layups. He's shooting only 44% on layups. And then you look at, he's taking 214 jumpers. He's taking 193 pull-up jumpers. 193, which is the most shots he takes anywhere. He's taking 193 pull-up jumpers. He's taking more pull-up jumpers than driving layups. He's also taken 159 step backs. So, yeah, definitely gets a little jump shot happy at some points. But recently he's been a lot more consistent getting to the rim. And one thing about Jalen Green that I feel like has gotten better as the season's gone on, diving more into his shots and what he does on the court and stuff, in terms of scoring ability, is he's getting better at finishing at the rim through contact. It's still not amazing. I feel like I was watching, right before this video, I was watching just his highlights, and you can go on here, and you can watch like all the shots he takes, makes or misses. And I was watching his layups, because one thing to me that I've seen is that he's not really efficient at getting to finishing at the rim. Again, he shoots only, 44% on layups, And I was watching, and a lot of the reasons why is because he's not amazing at finishing through contact very well, especially against a big man. Like, if there's like a forward or something there, he can do it. But, he's not really amazing at finishing through contact. Recently, he's been a lot better And recently, he's been a lot more under control at the rim, which is one thing I like a lot. Is that he's progressing there in terms of under control, because a lot of it, especially the last couple years and maybe early on this year, he was just kind of going to the rim and just throwing something up, going to the rim and just kind of being like, all right, go to the rim, trying to draw fouls as well. There's been a lot of times he's tried to draw fouls and maybe kind of made the shot harder than what it actually was, and then you'll miss it, you know. But I think this last stretch, he's a lot more under control in getting to the basket. Again, a lot of the highlights recently are against the Wizards, but it's still progress, you know. He's doing a lot better at finishing through contact and stuff. He's athletic. That's one thing about Jalen Green. He's really athletic. He can put someone on a poster. He's had a couple, as of recently, he's had a couple crazy dunks. We know how athletic he is, but it's the NBA now. And he's kind of understanding it's the NBA now. He can't just out-jump everybody anymore, you know, because other people now can jump with him. So he's got to learn how to finish through contact better, and he's been doing that recently. And then the jumpers, he's hitting them recently. Looking at some of his jumpers, on pull-up jumpers, which he takes the most. He's taking 193 pull-up jumpers. He's shooting just 33%, 64 for 193 on pull-up jumpers. That's not amazing, 33%. And then step back jumpers, he's shooting 62 for 159, which is 39%. So he's not really efficient anywhere, really. His most efficient shot is, well, besides dunks. Dunks, of course, he's 100%. But his most efficient, like, spot in terms of shot area, in terms of, shot zones, and what he takes is restricted area, shoots 62%, but that's also not counting just driving layup. That's counting all the restricted area shots. Looking at his threes, the right corner three shoots 36%. Left corner three, 38%. Above the break three, he shoots only 32%. The paint and non-restricted shoots 30%, 38% mid-range. So he's just not efficient. He's not an efficient scorer. That's been a big thing. But even besides his scoring ability and stuff, he just hasn't really also shown much outside of scoring and putting the ball in the cup that really is like eye-popping. You know, he doesn't have any maybe other attributes on the court that show you like, oh shoot, this dude can be something crazy. You know, like defensively, the Rockets are an amazing defensive team, which is really good. They've been a top 10 defense for the entirety of the year. Jalen Green isn't one of their top defenders. You know, he's been a little better, but he's not really a defender. Playmaking and passing, not really there. Again, he gets a little bit of, I guess, a little juice and help with that because he does have Fred VanVleet, and Alperen Sengun is one of the better passing centers in the league. So it kind of like, you know, it kind of gives him a tiny bit of a pass, even though with his scoring ability, he can use it to his advantage. Scoring and playmaking, that's kind of like the next evolution of him. After that, he doesn't really bring much else to the court. So really, he's a guy that you have to rely on him going to get 25, going to get 20, bring you buckets. And if he can't do that, if he's not scoring, then he's not really doing much else on the court that makes you really, you know, kind of excited for him. And something that can, you know, keep him on the court, which is something that we've seen Ime Udoka do. Again, when in that stretch I was talking about in December and stuff where he was struggling, he was having 8 points on 2 for 12 shooting stuff, he was only playing 23 minutes. Because now with a new coach and with a new system now, you know, before, last couple years, it was like Jalen Green was out there, he might have 8 points on 2 for 13, but it was like, what can we really do? Because who else is coming in to replace him? You know? Like, who else is coming in to kind of take Jalen Green's minutes? No one, really. Now, with this team, Jalen Green, you're not playing? All right, Amen Thompson. Come in and do something. You know, Dylan Brooks. All right, go in, we'll play big. Put Dylan Brooks and Jeff Green out there. You know? Like, they have they have more depth. They have actual NBA players now that are veterans, and they have an actual structure and coach now. And Ime Udoka has not been afraid to, if Jalen Green's not playing well or if he's not doing much on the defensive end and stuff, not afraid to take him out and throw someone else in to close out the game. We've seen that. So now it's kind of like, all right, Jalen, you got to step up. And recently he's been stepping up. I know I've been saying a lot of stuff against Jalen Green, and it sounds like I hope Jalen Green succeeds. I hope Jalen Green, you know, can ball, and I hope this stretch can be, you know, something that he can build on. Because again, this recent 10-game stretch is some of the best basketball he's been playing. He's been confident, with energy, under control, and he's had some big games, you know? And he's shown the potential of, oh yeah, he can be a 25, 28 point per game kind of bucket getter. He can do that. But you have to add in the fact of everything. You can't just add in this 10-game stretch. You have to look at everything as a whole. And the big question that has been looming for a lot of the season for me with the Rockets, especially seeing how they started, seeing how guys like Alperen Sengun and Jabari Smith Jr. and Amen Thompson and Cam Whitmore, Fred, and how all they've been playing, it's like, where does Jalen Green fit in? What is Jalen Green's future? Because there's a real, very, very real possibility that Jalen Green is not a Rocket. Maybe even next year. Like, there's a real possibility that the Rockets see their team and they decide, you know what, I don't think Jalen Green's a part of the future in Houston. Because they have so many young players now, and we've seen it this year that they have potential. Like, they're going to be a team that in the next couple years is going to be, a team you have to worry about potentially in the future. They have so many good young players. Alperen Sengun, again, is it kind of established himself as their future building block, which before it was Jalen Green. Now, because of the way Alperen Sengun plays, it's Alperen Sengun. He's the centerpiece. He's the building block of the future. You add in a guy like Jabari Smith Jr., who can shoot the ball, has been rebounding well, defending well, has looked a lot better this season. Amen Thompson has been playing amazing in the last month or so. He's going to be a really good place in the future. Cam Whitmore, you got him at the 20. Cam Whitmore really was a top 5 player. You got him at 20, and now he's showing everybody, yeah, I fell to 20. Y'all made a mistake. They're all playing well, and Jalen Green has been playing well recently, but he just hasn't done it in a full season stretch and has shown anything where it's like we're super confident in him being a part of this future with everybody else. Especially if they're going to be a defensive type of team, which you got out. Amen Thompson could be a good defender. Jabari Smith has shown he could be a solid defender. Alperen Sengun is a really solid big man defender. Cam Whitmore has the tools, potential. Add in, you have vets like Dylan Brooks and Jeff Green and Fred VanVleet who can guard. And it's like, if Jalen Green's not doing that, it's like, all right, well, if you're not defending or anything, at least you got to be consistently scoring. And he could score. It's just the consistency and the efficiency is the big question with it, So it's kind of like, where does Jalen Green fit in? Not even just for this Rockets team, but in terms of his future in the NBA and what his role will be in the NBA. Because I think there's a very real possibility, and there's a world where if Jalen Green doesn't really add much, doesn't become a really good he doesn't have to be an amazing elite defender, all the defensive team, but he has to just be reliable-ish. Just be good in a last few minutes of the game. You could be someone that's not going to get picked on, at the very least. Just try and hold your own a little bit. But if he can't do that, he can't develop his playmaking, and his efficiency never goes up, then there's a real world where he might turn into Jordan Clarkson or a Cam Thomas, potentially what he's going to turn into. Or just that type of role where it's like, come off the bench and score for us, which is not a bad role at all. I'm not saying that to belittle the role, because those roles are needed. Jordan Clarkson's, Malik Monk's, Cam Thomas's, those are needed. Teams need someone that's just going to come off the bench and just be a firecracker and can go out and get you 25, 30 points if you really needed to, But it's just going to be a little bit disappointing maybe for Jalen Green because he was a number 2 overall pick, and he was someone that the Rockets thought was going to be their building block of the future, So it's kind of disappointing in that role. But if he does turn into that, I can't even be really surprised just because of his game and what he's been doing, So there's a lot more probably in terms of what his role in the Rockets will be in the future and what the Rockets will do in the future, but that's going to probably be more for my look-in series I'm going to be doing at the end of the year, where I do talking about every team gets their own video. And for the Rockets, I'm definitely going to be bringing up this Jalen Green situation and what he can do for the future. But the last 14, 13 games of the season, Jalen Green, I hope he keeps this up. I hope he can keep up what he's been doing and play confident and have a really good stretch at the end of the year. And so then maybe we can get a little more clarity on what he'll be for the future and what his role in Houston and what his future in Houston will look like, So, yeah, that's something to keep an eye on. But I just want to talk about this because Jalen Green's been playing great, but it's just in terms of the entirety and the whole, what will his future be in Houston? What will his future be in Houston? What is his future role in the NBA? What's going to happen to Jalen Green? And if you have any thoughts about it and have any comments or anything about it, let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think about Jalen Green as well. But yeah, it's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, I've enjoyed the content around here. Consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, all stuff like that. Really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. And yeah, join the membership again. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.